Welcome back to the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. If you are new here, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify, Apple, or Google, please leave a 5-star rating and review. It supports the podcast and it doesn't cost you anything. This content is brought to you by Uphold, which makes crypto investing easy. I've been a user of Uphold since 2017. They're one of my go-to exchanges. They have 250 plus cryptocurrencies. They're available in 150 countries, and they have over 10 million users. So they are trusted by many folks, and I can vouch for this platform, having used it for years. So if you'd like to learn more about Uphold, please visit the link in the description. Well, folks, we got some big news around the SEC and Coinbase. And here's the headline. U.S. court orders SEC to respond to Coinbase allegations within 10 days. Coinbase last week argued the SEC is providing insufficient regulatory guidance for U.S. companies operating in the crypto sector. So we're seeing the industry go on the offensive and fighting back against the SEC. Coinbase, of course, got a Wells notice from the SEC. And usually when you get a Wells notice, it means a legal action will be taken against you. So Coinbase is suing the SEC. You have Grayscale suing the SEC. And of course, Ripple is fighting back the SEC with the XRP lawsuit. So right now, the industry, once again, is going on the offensive. I think we need more companies. I've been calling for a crypto coalition so these folks can, or these companies can pool their resources together and put the SEC in litigation hell and have their head spinning. So let me give you the details here. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has been ordered by a U.S. court to respond to cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase's complaint over how it applies securities laws to digital assets. The Third Circuit Court of Appeals said in a Wednesday filing that the SEC must file its response within 10 days. Coinbase may then file a response 7 days after. Coinbase last week argued that the SEC is providing insufficient regulatory guidance for the U.S. companies operating in the crypto sector, saying the commission must, at a minimum, set forth how those inept and inapposite requirements are to be adapted to digital assets. The crypto exchange referred to a 2022 petition asking for formal rulemaking within the digital asset sector, to which the SEC is yet to respond. Of course, they haven't responded. We're dealing with a clown, corrupt scumbag regulator that is Gary Gensler. The 10-day deadline ordered this week refers to the SEC's requirement to provide a legal basis for why it has not responded to the petition. Coinbase has been attempting to launch a preemptive strike against the SEC, which said in March it expected to sue the exchange over allegations of offering unregistered securities products. So great that, things are progressing in the courts here. And as, many folks have been saying, Attorney John Deaton and different folks, we are going to have to win this battle for the most part in courts until Congress acts, right? Until Congress puts together clear regulations and passes a law and, helps get something through, we're going to have to win this in the courts. And I do believe the industry is positioning itself for a lot of victories. Obviously I mentioned like Ripple, Grayscale, and obviously Coinbase. So the SEC, if they start taking losses here, it may force Congress to act. And here, yesterday, I had shared the following tweet from Paul Grewal and Stuart Alvarado of Ripple. They met. So we're seeing some teaming up here, probably sharing information because they're both under attack from the SEC. So really great to see the industry coming together. Great to see the courts are, trying to get the SEC to provide the information, because we know if the courts don't do anything, the SEC, we know Judge Sarah Netburn has come out and said they have no allegiance to the law. Imagine a judge saying that about the SEC. And I've said many times, the SEC is corrupt at its core. They've fallen far from their core mission of protecting investors. They are fighting on behalf of incumbents, and it's a sad, sad thing to watch. Now, if you want more proof of how incompetent the SEC is, and especially how incompetent Gary Gensler is, Bittrex CEO talked about the SEC Wells notice they got, and they gave some information here and context as to what happened. Here's the headline. We never got a chance to respond, Bittrex CEO said on the SEC Wells notice. As an industry, as a company, we'd much rather have clear rules that say what we can't do than the uncertainty and the fog associated with simply not knowing what to do, Lynch told Blockworks. So the CEO of Bittrex Global is Oliver Lynch, sat down with Blockworks to discuss receiving a Wells notice from the SEC and shuttering of Bittrex US. As you all know, Bittrex decided to close their doors and leave the United States as a result of not having clarity and the SEC going on the attack against them. He said, we don't know what the SEC is thinking. He clarified that Bittrex Global and US are entirely separate companies, which is a clarification that Lynch does not believe the SEC understands, as the SEC is pursuing charges against both exchanges. The very, very first conversation we had, the very base interaction of any kind we had from the SEC was when they gave us the Wells notice, Lynch said. His team asked for time to respond to the Wells notice, but were told don't bother. Of course, this is a clear example of the SEC not trying to work with anybody, not trying to work with the industry to provide clear regulations. And of course, once again, scumbag regulator Gary Gensler. We're dealing with a scumbag here. In April, Bittrex was hit with multiple charges by the SEC. The commission alleges that 6 of the available tokens on Bittrex are securities because investors had a reasonable expectation of profits. The SEC also claimed that Bittrex operated as an unregistered exchange broker and clearing agency. Lynch said, I've never spoken to anyone at the SEC in any capacity. He noted that lawyers at Bittrex were able to have conversations with the SEC finally, but the conversation lacked substance and did not allow the exchange the opportunity to explain what was going on. But of course, the SEC is not coming out saying which tokens are securities and not, right? So it's whack-a-mole here. They're just coming out. They'll select 5 or 6 coins for whichever lawsuit they're doing and say, oh, these are securities, but they're not litigating the tokens themselves individually. So it's a sneaky way to try to get these companies to fold, to put the pressure on them, and then they can go back and say, see, they settled, they agreed these are securities, when in fact these companies are just trying to avoid getting destroyed from a financial perspective in spending years fighting the SEC. This is why I've been calling for a crypto coalition, pool the resources and money and sue the SEC before they can even take action against you. So I'm hoping we see more of this. And once again, Ripple and Coinbase seem to be cooking up something here. So we'll wait and see. Now, one of the crypto skeptics and well-known one, Brad Sherman, the Shermanator, right? If you have seen the American Pie movies, this is who the Shermanator grew up to be, and the same personality, right? The same nonsense. He tweeted out the news about U.S. presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who we talked about in yesterday's podcast, about him speaking at a Bitcoin conference. He said 60 years ago, the late, great Robert F. Kennedy, RFK, went after tax evaders as U.S. Attorney General. Today, his son is slated to speak at a conference for tax evaders. So typical talking point here from this clown, Congressman Brad Sherman. I'm surprised he had time to write this tweet when he was, brown-nosing Gary Gensler over the past few weeks. So we know his MO, and as well as Elizabeth Warren. These are the people we got to fight, guys. Now, here's what Ryan Selkis of Messari had to say regarding that tweet from Brad Sherman. He said, Congressmen like Brad Sherman insider trade stocks with impunity, spark bank runs. Hello, Elizabeth Warren, and bankrupt the country with spineless, inane policy. These people don't even pretend to tell the truth anymore. The lies about Bitcoin are expected and par for the course. So this is who this clown is. He's probably paid off big time. Now, guys, we talked about yesterday that Ron DeSantis, or was it the day before? I don't remember, but Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, was talking about a CBDC ban, and he was talking about how good crypto is, and the government doesn't like crypto because of the transparency and so forth. And he's looking to ban CBDCs in Florida. Well, we got news today that North Carolina, another state in the United States, from my foreign friends, House unanimously votes to ban the digital dollar payments to the state. The House of Representatives of the U.S. state voted 118-0 to pass an amended version of a bill that initially sought to ban crypto payments. Wow, guys. So, if we look at this and look at the holistic view, first they tried to ban crypto and they were putting together a bill to do so. And now they amended that and it's banning CBDCs, or the digital dollar, the United States CBDC. This is very interesting, and I'm very curious how this plays out with the states, because as you can imagine, the federal government is going to look to introduce the digital dollar either this year or next year or the year after. I think it's a 3-year window that we may see it, and they're going to try to put this part of the economy. We don't have all the details yet, and I'll be talking to Chris Giancarlo, who's of the Digital Dollar Project, which is trying to advise the Fed on how to do this properly and legally, and to also observe the U.S. Constitution. But states are saying no. Wow. I'm very, very surprised by this, because it's one thing to come out and take a position and say, hey, we don't like this CBDC and we don't like it. We don't want anything to do with it. It's another thing to pass a bill or vote here to say ban it. So this is very, very interesting, guys. And I think we want to watch this closely. Will other states follow suit? What does it mean from a federal level? It's going to be interesting. So North Carolina's House of Representatives on Wednesday unanimously passed a bill prohibiting the state's agencies and institutions from accepting payments in central bank digital currencies. Representatives voted 118-0 with 2 excused absences in favor of the bill in its second reading that would prevent the state's court system or any agencies tied to the state from accepting a Federal Reserve issued digital dollar. The bill also bans the state from participating in any pilot tests, CBDCs. While the U.S. Treasury Department has said leaders are evaluating the issuance of a digital dollar, countries including China have already run pilots, and the European Union is nearing the end of a 2-year experiment into the digital euro. So, folks, I've said it many times, CBDCs are inevitable. We see the central banks are doing it. There was no vote through the government. It wasn't something on the ballot that you got to weigh in on. They're just doing it. And China was leading that charge, and it's going to be every country, because we're headed to the token economy, everything on the blockchain. That includes fiat currencies. I can only speak for the United States. I'm concerned about the right to privacy, our Fourth Amendment right, which is in the Constitution. And will the government use this power and, go some draconian route and put all types of, restrictions and things that go against freedom of speech, and, which political party you tie to, and, will that affect your money? And I've said it many times, it may not happen in even in our lifetimes, but maybe later on, right? We've seen what they've done with different things like the Patriot Act and the NSA, and listening into everybody, and without warrants and so forth, right? They ignore the laws, and that's not right. So I don't know what the U.S. is going to do here, but this is an really interesting development, and I'm curious how this is going to play out with the different states. Now let's move ahead. Curve deploys stablecoin smart contract on Ethereum. Finalizing UI may be the final step before access to crvUSD. So Curve Finance has deployed the smart contract for a stablecoin, or its stablecoin crvUSD, on Ethereum. So on the note of CBDCs, you have stablecoins which are popping up everywhere, and we know the 2 biggest are Tether USDT and Circle's USDC. But there's different stablecoins and different projects building them, and they're going to become more sophisticated, and we're going to see different stablecoins for different currencies and in different parts of the world. So the project designed the stablecoin using the lending liquidity automated market maker algorithm. Ooh, that's a mouthful, which is a combination of both a traditional AMM and a lending market. According to a white paper from last October, the LLA MMA, my goodness, uses an external oracle that ensures that crvUSD pools are made up of two different assets, crvUSD and the asset used to mint the stablecoin, such as Ethereum or Bitcoin. This differs from other AMM designs, which are assets swapped at the price determined by the AMM curve. When the price of the collateral is higher, all of the users' deposits will be in the deposit collateral, but as the price of the collateral goes lower, the oracle will convert the deposits to crvUSD. Curve deployed its initial crvUSD smart contracts yesterday, but a minor issue where fees were not flowing into the project's DAO are noted by its team, Blockworks research senior analyst Dan Smith said. So, I'm for innovation and developing new things and testing new things, but we got to be careful here. We saw what happened with Terra Luna, and I think this is where we need proper regulations, not to kill the innovation, but there needs to be some sort of checks on these things, before they become massive, because we don't want to have another collapse, right? We don't want to have issues. And once again, it's a delicate balance, right? You want to have the jobs created. You want these companies to innovate and don't feel like they're going to get an enforcement action from the SEC or whoever else. But hey, you have this stable coin. Okay, I need you to report on your reserves. I need you to show me how this works. So it's kind of like a due diligence check that needs to be set up by the government before these things are put into the economy, if that makes sense. So once again, build what you need to build, do what you got to do, but let's take a look and see and make sure everything is copacetic. So finally, guys, I want to share some news around Corium. They actually hired someone who was at Ripple and some other organizations. So Reggie Bassi, if I'm saying that right, Network Expansion Director. He has a solid track record at renowned organizations like Ripple, Tendermint, and Ubisoft, and he has championed developer advocacy. So Corium, their new project, obviously doing some great things, building, hiring people. I've been following them closely. They were created, or the project was created by the folks who created Sologenic, and many of you are familiar with that platform. Well, folks, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button, share this video, and I'll talk to you all later.